we're live on Facebook.
Hello.
I know. Yeah, you can practice your radio voice. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello out there.
I know. We're not live on the radio yet, but we are live in Facebook land.
Okay.
I know. Hanging
Well,
out.
Facebook land.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 425 Show, your place to be for all things real estate and lifestyle related here on the East Side. I'm your host, Nicole Mangina with Windermere Real Estate. I've got stats for you guys today. Every month, Windermere puts out the statistics for what's happened in the last 30 days in the real estate market. So we've got them. I thought it'd be good to share, and we will have these on the website after the show. You can always go to NicoleMangina.com/podcast, and we'll have this information. So a couple things to note. Inventory is up, but I found that it's bringing buyers back into the market. We calculate it based on the month's supply of inventory, which is, based on the number of sales. If nothing new came on the market, how long would it take to sell through everything that's currently on the market? This time last year, it was 0.8, so less than 1 month's supply. Now it's 1.2. A balanced market is considered 4 to 6 months of inventory. So what that says is we're still low, but we've got more inventory than we did this time last year, and what I'm finding is it's bringing buyers into the market because they feel like they actually have some selection. So that's good. 28% of the properties that sold last month sold above the listing price. So we are still seeing some multiple offers. Some things are still going over. About a quarter of the properties are doing that. 61% sold in 15 days or less. So what that tells you is if you get it right, you're still going to right in terms of pricing, staging your property, all of that kind of stuff, you can still sell quickly. But if you miss that mark, it means you're going to sit for a little bit. And then we always do the cost of waiting a year. And this, I think, is always such an interesting thing because it takes into account the pricing, how the prices have changed. It figures the monthly payment based on the average sales price and the average interest rates. So the interesting thing is this time last year, the average sales price was $835,000 and the interest rate was 4.47%. This year, the average sales price is $819,000. So it did go down a little bit, but most importantly, the interest rate went down to 4.14. So actually for the same house, average sales price, you're actually saving $240 a month if you buy today. So there you go, something to think about. If you are thinking about buying or selling, I invite you to reach out. You can always find me via email, nicole@nicolemangina.com. So there you go, that's your real estate update for the day. And I'm excited to introduce our guest this morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We've got Sheila Storrer with Sheila Storrer Coaching joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, me too.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of good stuff to talk about today. So, all right, let's dive in.
Okay.
I want to talk about, your specialty, how you got into it, but we had a really good conversation before the show that I think frames this up. There's coaching and there's counseling and therapy, and they are two very different things. I think they get interchanged a lot in today's society, but they're different. They serve different purposes and have different benefits. So let's chat about that. I'd love to hear your definitions of that, and then we'll dive into kind of your specialty.
Yeah. So they're very different, and there can be some overlap.
Right.
So how I like to explain it is that therapy is you're kind of looking backwards. You're doing a lot of work in the past. You're doing a lot of processing of emotions. And therapy is super awesome.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for both.
Totally. And then coaching is more forward-looking.
Got
it. Where you are, where you want to be, and what's getting in the middle, what's getting in the way, and that's what we really coach to. Like, what's stopping you? So there can be some overlap in our conversations in coaching, where we might do a little dip in the back, but we're totally looking forward.
Love it.
And so what's really cool is that I have also been a therapist, and so I know both very well.
I think that's huge.
And so when I meet with a potential client, we really just suss it out, like what would be best for them, what would serve them best. And I do have some clients who are doing both at the same time. They can really complement each other really well. I meet with some people and think, no, you need to do some therapy first, and then we'll be ready to coach. And then other people are just like straight up ready to go with coaching.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really, they're two just very, very different ways of, different modalities that can really complement each other well.
Well, and I think it's fantastic that you have both of those, right? You know, I have done a lot of coaching in my day.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. And my nature is to be a forward thinker.
Yes.
But the reality is sometimes you get stuck on things, right? And you're not moving forward, or it's just not, it's like it's not clicking, or it seems like it's a heck of a lot harder than maybe it needs to be. And sometimes I think that's where that therapy piece can come in. Because sometimes there is stuff from your past that's affecting how you're interacting in your present and future, right? So to be able to pull those tools out of your toolbox when you need it, I think it's great.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's an extra skill that I have that I can give to my clients is to really, really help pull that apart of what, just to make sure that people get what they really need, like what will serve them best.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
how did you get into this? What made you want to shift more from either the therapy to the coaching, or to just include the coaching in what you're doing?
So I'm a clinical social worker. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I've been a social worker forever. And what I found was that I was really just wanting to make that shift and work with people who are more forward thinking.
Right.
And like, I love doing therapy, but I was ready to just have a different conversation with people.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
so
great.
It's been super exciting, and I really I love the forward focus. I love the positivity. I love helping people think about what's possible and what they can create for their lives. So it's just a very different conversation that I find super energizing and fun and exciting. And I really I love coaching. I love doing this work.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you have some great kind of niches and specialties of who you work with. So let's talk about that.
Sure. So I can work with anybody.
Right.
But in particular, I really like working with women. I like working with the stay-at-home moms, career moms that are wanting to just live their best life at home or at work. I also have found, I'm a parent of 2 teenagers.
Yes.
And as I've been parenting my teens, I just really noticed that there's not a lot of support for parents of teens out there. So I'm also a positive discipline educator and do a lot of work with parents around parenting our crazy teenagers. So that's a little niche that I have as well, and I offer monthly workshops for moms of teens, and they're just so fun because we just sit around and I'll present a topic, but it really just turns into a time where there's just a lot of support among the moms, because they're, you know, all the ways that we used to get support as parents, hanging out at the playground, hanging out at our kids' sporting events, those things are gone when our kids are teenagers, right?
Yes, I'm noticing that, right? Alex, our oldest, is in high school, and he's still driving, or he can't drive yet. We're still driving him, so we're still pretty involved. But I can see, you know, even on his baseball team, let's say, all of the kids that are 16 and up, their parents may or may not make it to the game, right? They're driving themselves to these things, so it's just different. And then, you don't get that connection with the other parents that, you know, and then having that chance to talk about, you know, what's going on for your kid in school or what have you. So it's interesting we're kind of on, you're on more the tail end of it. We're on the, you know, we're just coming into that phase of life, but I'm noticing it, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, and then you feel like you're not having those connections with other parents, so you feel like you're the only person in the world who has a crazy teenager. Right. So when you get a group of women together, a group of moms who it's just like this, like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone, and it's just this place of support has been really cool.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So
really great.
So what's really great is in my coaching work, I can also pull in the parenting piece about building stronger relationships with your kids.
Yeah.
No matter what age they're at.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I noticed that in my own work. You know, some days I'm like, woohoo, let's go conquer the world. And then you come home and the kids are all spazzed out, and I'm thinking, I don't know how this whole thing's going to work together, right? Because they are, especially I think for women, I'm assuming it's the same for men, but I can only speak for myself. You need all those pieces to fit together in order to feel good about moving forward. Right.
And it's so
you don't want to do one at
pieces.
the expense of the other.
Totally.
So.
And how do you integrate all of that?
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I was reading on your website and you were talking about the eye rolls and
Oh my
oh
gosh,
my
right?
gosh,
You're
she
gonna
knows.
know that, right?
She's been in my house.
Totally.
I get a lot of eye rolls until they want something, and then I get
Right, and then
"You're
it's
the
like
best,
this
Mom."
sweet hug, Mom, and then it's always like, okay, what do you want?
I know. It was pretty
Mm-hmm.
cute. Alex hit the fence in his baseball game over the weekend, though, and I got a big hug after that. He was all excited. It was cute. Ryan does it too.
Oh, so pleasant.
yeah.
Those are so awesome.
Exactly.
Those moments.
So let's go back to your coaching just women. I love, and it's interesting, my experience, and I'd love to hear yours as well, is, women who work, women in business, it's kind of in our nature to go seek out coaching because we're always looking like, okay, how do we get to the next step, right? And I love that you help women with that, but also stay-at-home moms.
Right.
I think they so benefit from this kind of work, and it's hard because it seems like they have a hard time taking time for themselves or valuing their piece in the family puzzle enough to realize that they would benefit from this as well.
Definitely. That's such a good point because I think it's like, I was thinking about this the other day. We tend to think about leadership as leadership is just about at work. Like I'm a leader at work. I'm leading a team. I'm this and that. Well, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a leader too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're leading your family.
Absolutely.
So it's working on all those things as well. And and I think for a lot of stay-at-home moms, it's really hard they deal with a lot of mom guilt. I mean, we all deal with mom guilt, right? But I think for stay-at-home moms, they have this idea that their life should be easier or something.
Yeah.
And it's really
not. I think it's harder.
It's harder because I know the times
So
when
much
I've
harder.
just been. I know one of my things I always talk about with my clients is when I was when my kids were really little, I was working in an emergency room, and I would like pedal to the metal to get to work. Just to get out
that
of
was easier.
It was easier, and I was like, working in an emergency room is easier than being home with my kids. And so I think we overlook their struggles.
Yeah.
And they minimize their struggles. And I think it's really hard for all of us, particularly stay-at-home moms, to carve out the time for self-care.
Yeah.
And I think like self-care is so important for all of us. And that's always our first to go.
Yes, most definitely.
Most definitely, for sure.
Yeah. So, and as we're talking today, we've got lots of more great stuff to cover, but Sheila has gifted us with some amazing gift certificates. So if you are listening, we're talking to Sheila Storrer of Sheila Storrer Coaching today. And if you're thinking, gosh, it would really help to talk through this, she has gifted us 3 amazing free 1-hour coaching sessions. So if you go onto Instagram after the show, you can always find me, Nicole Mangina, on Instagram. Leave a comment under Sheila's picture. You'll see it. It's got her name and everything. We will enter you into the drawing, and we will draw for these on next week's show. So again, Instagram, Nicole Mangina. Put a comment under Sheila Storer's picture, and we will enter you into one of these 3 free coaching sessions with Sheila.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I know there's people out there going, oh my gosh, I need this.
That'd be awesome. And you can bring anything to those conversations. It can be a career issue. It can be a relationship issue, parenting, an issue that's going on at home.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm so in it because I know when you have the right conversation with the right person, it's like the clouds part and you finally get that, oh my gosh, I can figure this. It's a big deal. It seriously is life changing when you have that conversation. So I'm excited for people to find you because I know you do really amazing work.
Yeah, and I love the initial conversations of just kind of the connection and kind of tearing things apart and getting a little deeper and figuring out like what's what, what do you want for your life and what's in the way and how can we move it out of the way and make it happen.
What are some of the biggest things that you see with your clients that they're struggling with? Like if you had to give a couple tips today, what are 1 or 2 great tips that you think would be good?
It's funny because I would say majority of my clients come to me around a career thing.
Right.
Either wanting to go back to work or switching careers. And so we start there, and then usually, then we talk about like what's getting in the way.
Right.
And it seems like the thing that's getting in the way is all the junk in our heads.
Yes.
Right?
Always,
Always, right?
Pretty much.
And I think we all think that we're special and we're the only people that have junk in our heads. And so my clients always laugh.
We're
when
here
I'm
to
like,
tell you,
right,
you are
not
special, but you're not
right.
that special.
Right. So I always say to my clients, I hate to burst your bubble, but you're not special. Like every human has this junk.
Yes.
And
But the good news is then there's something out there that can be done, right?
Totally.
Like, that's the beauty of not being special. It means there's a solution out there.
And it can be such a relief to hear, because so many people are like, I'm the only person in the world that thinks this stuff. And it can be such a relief to kind of normalize it and be like, we're humans. We've all picked up stuff along the way.
Right.
And now we get to move it out of the way. So now it's like you've done the first step. You've identified what your story is and what your thing is. And now we get to have some fun and shift the story and move it out of the way.
Yeah. Which is huge. For me, at least, when I'm all wrapped up in my stuff.
Yeah.
Because I can,
because you're
spin
human.
a good story.
Yeah.
The solution then always has to be big and dramatic, and I don't know, I get that all twisted as well. And then I find out, other people have the same thing.
Right.
And actually the solution is a lot less invasive, There's things you need to do,
right.
But it feels a lot easier to do those moving forward than when, oh my gosh, I'm the only one this has ever happened to, and this has turned into this big crazy thing.
Right.
So
yeah, and sometimes just saying it out loud.
Yes.
And I think sometimes with some of my clients, it's just like, there's finally a space and a place where they can say these things out loud,
right?
And it can be so freeing.
Yes.
And then we can look at identifying it, noticing your story when it pops up, and then making a choice from there. Like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, what thoughts can I replace it with, or what action can I take, or who can I call to support me around this?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just read an amazing book over the weekend. I don't know, maybe you've heard of it, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
Yes. She's so great.
She's amazing.
She's
and that
amazing.
feels like a lot of what
That's
this
totally,
is about. And I love that you're into that, because I think it's a great book. We'll put it on the website after the show. But it is
book. Definitely check it out.
Absolutely one that if you're really going to dive into it, I think it's good to do it with a coach or something.
Definitely.
Because you can get wrapped up in your head with some of this stuff pretty easily.
Right.
So to have a coach to kind of work through something like that, I think is powerful stuff.
Yeah, I incorporate a lot of her work in my.
Oh, I love it.
Work. Yeah,
that's
she's
good.
amazing.
It's like it kind of sounds like
I
that
know,
from what
she's
you're talking
amazing.
about. So that's great, yeah, because it's interesting, right? To be able to, the power, I think, to notice yourself in that moment and the way you're reacting based on something, or a story that you've told yourself, and then be able to choose differently.
Totally. It's all about choosing differently. And it's
huge.
all about just noticing it and like, oh my gosh, there's my story again. And then I think the other thing that we tend to do is we're like, there's my story again. Oh my gosh, it's, then we put some judgment on it.
Right.
Instead of like, oh, it's just my story.
Right, and now instead of judging the other person, we judge ourselves.
Right. It's like, okay, it's just my story. Like, I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to, like, there it is. Okay, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to move on. I'm going to make a different choice.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do the thing.
Yeah.
And not let my story stop me.
Right. But I think that's where you come in as a coach, right?
Definitely.
Because to say all of that is one thing. To live it, especially the first couple times, can be tricky, right? So to have someone there to walk that road with you,
and I think
is huge.
I think having someone to just kind of point out our blind spots, that's what so much coaching is. Like having someone point out our blind spots, having someone who, for the support, who helps us figure out what kind of structures or what kind of accountability, what kinds of things we need to put into place, and just pulling the client forward, you know?
Yeah, I think it's huge. And it is hard to see our own blind spots.
It's so hard to see our blind spots.
What's so obvious in everybody else, right? Is so
totally
not obvious for ourselves.
Right.
So, love
Definitely.
it. Very cool. What other things about your coaching do you think people should know?
Let's see. I'm offering a group coaching program with another coach. Her name is Sarah Olin, and she's magic. I love her. And so we're starting it in June, and it's for 6 women.
Okay.
6 moms. That's the only criteria is you have to be a mom, and then bring whatever your thing is, whether it's relationship, career, parenting, and it's I don't know if I just said this, it's limited to 6 women, so it's
Okay.
a small group.
Love
So
it.
there'll be that support among the women.
I think that's
and
key,
the accountability.
right?
Yeah, it's
'cause
really
then
cool.
you're comfortable. Yeah.
Right, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested in that, drop me a line.
Okay, and what's the best way for people to reach you?
Through probably just emailing me at
Okay.
sheilastorrer@outlook.com or sending me a message through Facebook is great.
Okay,
or, yeah,
perfect. Awesome.
perfect.
Great. So SheilaStorrer@outlook.com, and we'll also have all of the links to Sheila's stuff on the website after the show,
Perfect.
including the information on that group, because that sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
There's
I'm really
huge
excited
power in
about
group
it.
stuff.
It's amazing, and I think what's really cool about groups is you can, let's say you're wanting to work on career stuff and someone else is working on relationship stuff. Even, in that, when you're listening to someone else talk about their stuff or getting coached around their stuff, you always see something for yourself.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love group things because I have to admit, in the moment, I'm like, people ask, do you have questions? I'm like, no, I don't think I do.
Yeah.
But then somebody else asks a question, I think,
Oh,
that was my question. I did
Right.
wonder about that. So
Right.
I always benefit from other people's questions.
Definitely.
Because mine tend to come down the road. So I feel like they're always helping me out and doing me a favor by asking their questions. I get a lot out of that.
Yeah, I think
So-
groups are amazing. Groups
Wonderful.
are a lot of fun.
Cool. Gosh, I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank
We're
you. I'm
covering
so
all
glad to
kinds
be
of
here.
good
We've
stuff.
covered a lot of ground.
We did. And again, we've got these awesome
Yay.
gift cards. So if you're thinking about, you're struggling with some things, whether it's finding out more about Sheila's group or even doing some one-on-one stuff, she's got 3 free coaching sessions that we'll be giving away on next week's show. You just need to go to Instagram. Nicole Mangina is my handle on Instagram. Post a comment under Sheila's picture, and we will enter you into the drawing for next week because it's going to be great. So, excellent.
Oh, you know what I should add?
Yeah.
Not all, but most of my coaching's over the phone or Zoom.
Oh, I love it.
So
yeah.
it's super convenient. So you can be anywhere in the country, and you can be
Perfect.
in your pajamas at home.
I know.
Yeah, so it just makes it really, really convenient,
Super
especially
helpful.
for
Yeah.
working women.
Yeah. I love Zoom too. It's nice for
I
the
love
face-to-face
Zoom.
interaction.
Yeah, I love Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom's really great.
Awesome. Cool. So back to the parenting teens.
Yes.
Asking selfishly for a friend.
Yes.
For a friend.
For a friend.
What are 1 or 2 tips for parenting teens that you think are helpful?
I think 2 things. I think thinking about parenting from a place of kindness and firmness, and sometimes we can slide to one side or the other.
Right.
We can either be super firm or super kind.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
really
hard to find the middle ground.
it is really hard, but it's like finding that middle. And so just thinking about that, kind and firm. How do I be kind and firm? And then that's one thing I tell parents to think about. And the other thing is think about what you're committed to. Like, are you committed to, which we all are, I would say. We're really committed to having a connection with our kids.
Right.
And so if that is your highest commitment, think about some of the other stuff you're doing. So if you're committed to connection, but you're nagging all the time, you're not trusting your kid, are you really going to get that connection?
Probably
Probably
not.
not.
Okay.
And it's a struggle, right? Because
Right.
we all nag and we all get irritated. And but just really thinking about what your highest commitment is to the relationship and how you can get that. And I think with our teenagers, we can get so hyper focused on all the things that they're doing wrong because we're scared, because they're out there making some dumb choices, right?
Yes.
Out there making some dumb choices.
Exactly.
And that's what, like, developmentally they're supposed to be doing.
I know.
They're separating, they're exploring the world, but if we can just really focus on the connection, then they will come to us when they need us. They'll come to us if they're in trouble.
Yes. That's
really
my goal.
important.
There's lots of days where I do not get it right, but I always feel like if I
Totally.
can keep the line of communication open, if they're comfortable sharing,
Definitely.
it's like if you know what's going on, then you can help or not.
Yes.
But if you don't know, then you can't
Yeah.
help.
And I think that the more that the harder we are on them and the less trusting we are, they're just going to get sneakier and sneakier.
I know. Which is, I don't know about you though, that's my default. Like, if you're more
Right.
firm,
Right.
like I mean it. No, I really
Right.
mean it. And they're just, that's where the eye roll comes in. Like,
Totally.
uh-huh.
Exactly. Why are they all good at the eye roll?
I
It's
don't
got to
know.
be
They're
some
the
developmental
master.
thing. They're so
And then I
good
think you
at
lose it. Like, I don't think I'm not a very good eye roller anymore.
Right.
But I think I was probably
That's
amazing.
Someone needs to study that. When does it go away?
I don't know.
Never.
Benny still got it.
But you still got it down.
Benny can roll his eyes for the best of them. Awesome.
funny.
Those are great tips. I'm going to think about that
Yeah.
as I go home today. How can I build connection with my kids?
Connection.
Because I think that's really what it's all about.
Right.
Right?
It really is.
Everything else kind of takes care of itself,
Exactly.
in theory, if
Exactly.
we've got that connection.
Mhm.
So, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I really appreciated our conversation. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a fellow Kirkland person.
Yes,
so
I am. I love Kirkland.
I love it. I always love asking people kind of what's their favorite thing to do in the 425. Do you have a favorite
my
place for
gosh.
dinner?
Okay,
A hike to eat
addicted. I'm addicted to cactus right now.
Oh, I love cactus.
I know. Once a week, I have it delivered. It's my thing. I'm super
Oh,
into it right now.
nice.
And I love the Kirkland corridor. Super close to my house, and I
Yes.
love just getting on there at the end of the day. And it's just beautiful. It's one of my
Yeah, we do
favorite
that
things.
too. And
Yeah.
we've got a dog. In fact, I was out there this
Oh,
morning
yeah.
walking the dogs. So
Yeah, it's
on
one of
the
my
corridor
favorites.
for sure. And yeah, cactus is good. And they have a couple of them. I go
Yeah.
to the Kirkland one.
Mhm.
We actually drive down there, but I like
Yeah.
that getting it delivered part.
It's kind of perfect. Their carne asada on Friday nights. Yeah.
Yeah. Note to self.
Mhm.
All right. So cactus,
Yeah.
cactus is always good. There's one in Bellevue too. So
Yes.
there's a couple on the east side. Perfect. And then the corridor we use a lot
Love
as
the
well.
corridor. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
Thanks so much
Thanks
for
for
being here
having
today,
me.
Sheila. It was
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Again, everybody will have links to all of Sheila's stuff on the website after the show, NicoleMangina.com/podcast. And we'll have all of those stats that I shared this morning about the real estate market because things are moving. It's a good time to be out there for both buyers and sellers. So I hope you have a fabulous week. We will see you next Tuesday. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Cool.